What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Filsinger Games Character Spotlight with Mike and Broc. Wait, that's not Mike. That's
I'm
Jeff
not
Manning,
Mike,
whoever that is. And
whoever
I'm
that guy
Broc.
is.
And tonight we're going to continue through Revolution 2098 with the Occult Overlord and Ram.
Nice.
So two updates. The Royal Overlord became the Occult Overlord and lost the back of his card. So
He
I
didn't want
don't
to
know if
get
that's
beat up
much.
anymore.
I don't know if that's much of an upgrade, but yeah, so we can cover these guys. Probably not a whole lot to say about the Occult Overlord.
Oh, I will say a cult is it's scarier than royal.
It is. It's dark.
I
It's
don't
dark and
know if it's
mysterious.
a better title. Um, but it does make me feel like he's more involved.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see here. So we talked about, not having a lot to talk about with a cult overlord because he is a manager.
Right.
So I brought up his profile. Um, so in the book, here's what it said. The plan was clear. That's literally what starts with. So now the
Ooh.
plan is clear. That's behind the scenes for 2 years, the 2 years of his banishment. The royal overlord was secretly working with the collector to create a team to get revenge against the king's court for winning sudden death. And
Ooh.
again, the collector has been used as a front. Remember the Demons of Hydra scam for covert operations. The royal overlord has changed his name to the overlord. That's all it says. It's missing the occult part. It really is. It just says the overlord in the book is what the title is, and it just says his name is the overlord. And he's a sicker man than ever by far. Each member of his team represents some aspect of occult madness, including his newest member, Ram. The, the Overlord aims to make Exo King pay for defeating him in sudden death. Now, with a power man like Ram on the team, he feels he's got what he needs to down Exo King. But can the Overlord tame the rage of the Ram where Amazonia and the Anti-Men failed?
Ooh. Deep stuff there.
Nice. Nah, I do think it's interesting. They went to the occult and they have
Mm-hmm.
this ram, which I don't know, I'm not into Satanism or satanic things, but they
Jeff
have
is
ram's heads,
satanic.
goat heads.
Approved. Confirmed.
I mean, there's got to be some
It's a horned. It's
correlation.
a horned. It's a horned beast, and I think that has some
Exactly.
kind of symbolism.
And he was at one point a beast of burden, was he not?
I think he was by
Or was
now.
that Incredible Badger and Iron Man?
I don't remember.
See,
I'm looking it up.
I gotta prepare you with these questions before we go on. You're
You
like,
do.
I don't know that he was lost in the shuffle.
He was definitely lost in the shuffle. No, he wasn't. He was just with Badger's
He was
animal
just with
pack.
Badger's Animal Pack.
Yeah.
The Beast of Burden was actually Iron Man taking his spot so he could go to singles.
Hmm.
I remember. Just takes a second.
But yeah, he's a
No,
horned beast of some
so
type.
I mean, I guess I never really thought of the association. That was what I'm saying is you see satanic images, you see the occult, you see the guys like Bishop Hell, that fits. I never
Hmm.
thought about the ram, but I guess in a sense they always have horned animals and stuff that represent that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
while it's not a goat or anything, I think ram fits the bill.
Yeah, he does. I mean, I think his original card looks more like that kind of depiction than his this one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't even make that correlation until you
Well, he's
read that
got the
aloud. And you read
he's
that fantastically, by the way.
thank you.
When I read on a recording, I sound like a complete moron.
I'm trying to be more Mark Ashby like.
There you go. Well, good job.
No, but did you notice on Ram's arm he has that emblem?
Hmm.
It's right there. I mean, that kind of looks like the satanic kind of goat type symbol type thing. I don't
Yeah, it
know.
might be. We're not up to date on our Satanism.
I am not. I am sorry. I don't know if I am sorry actually.
Yeah.
I take that back. I'm not sorry. But I literally have a picture behind me that says God bless on it. But
There you go.
anyway, no, I never honestly never made that connection till right now.
Yeah, me neither.
And I think that's why these podcasts are really great because we've all played, we've all been around
Hmm.
these characters, and Ram's been around at this point for 9 years.
Right.
Never once did I associate him with something like that. I
Right.
mean, even as I play my Fed now, and I'm still using Ram and 2102, I might give him a darker feel.
Yeah. Yeah,
He
I
is
think it makes sense.
he is the Midian
He
of my
is.
GWF.
He's better than Midian.
If you paired him with Man Mountain, you could have the Viscera effect too.
There you go. He's got it. Well, we're not on him yet. We'll get back to him. But occult overlord.
Oh, Colt Overlord.
Okay, occult overlord. It's got a distractor rating of 5, which is the generic distractor rating. So did he really even
It's
need a card?
it's pretty low, yeah. I mean, I guess you could say, you know, they needed a manager, so it gives you a figure. Well,
Yeah,
that's got to be one of the most basic drawings ever, too, though.
that's this whole set. The Gustovich stuff is definitely phoned in. I'm
Yeah.
looking at the Ram artwork colorized on
hmm
the COTG wiki. It actually makes it look pretty cool
Yeah,
colorized.
the Ram looks pretty cool colorized. I usually play online since I've had kids and whatnot, so I'm more familiar with the colorized versions than I
I
am
can
the black
show
and
that
white
real
of these
quick
sets.
since we're talking about it.
I got breaking news and I got interrupted by my son that told me the Browns scored a touchdown. So
Oh,
for those of you watching at home, we know this isn't real time, but we're watching the Browns Steelers game while this is going on because I am a Browns fan
and I'm a
and Broc,
Steeler
of
fan.
course, is a Steelers fan. So perfect night for this.
It is, it is. And since they aren't allowed to have football in Canada, Mike's not here.
Yeah, he likes the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Yeah.
That's his squad.
Yep. We were talking about that last week. And I made fun of them. I'm like how they needed to point out that the Tigers were cats.
Yeah. Like, isn't that kind of redundant?
Yeah, I said we have the NFL has the Panther cats, the Jaguar cats, the Lion cats, the
The
Panther
Bengal
cats, the
Cats.
Bengal cats.
There's a lot of cats in the
And
NFL.
then I started rattling off all the birds, and I think he got annoyed. We had the
Well,
Raven birds, the Seahawk birds, the Eagle birds, the Cardinal birds.
the Falcon Birds.
Yep.
There you go. Anyway, so back on track, back on track. So
Sorry, sorry.
you brought up the Ram card. It does look pretty sweet in color.
Hmm.
I honestly think that the colorized versions give them a lot of pop. I wish that I know they're doing the re-release sets, and that's great.
Hmm.
But I wish they would have just done the regular artwork with the color like we see on COTG online because I love it.
And it's already done. All they'd have to do is print it. I mean,
Yeah,
that'd be printing money at this point.
yeah, and that'd be a good set to have. I would love to have those in physical form.
I wish they'd keep going with those, but I think they're going back and doing classics instead and
Yeah,
continuing on.
I've
Sounds like.
already played my classics. Anyway, so Cole Overlord kind of covered him. I don't really know if you want to go too into depth with
Oh, we
him.
can talk about the power creep. I guess I'd make his distractor
Obviously,
rating a 7.
yeah, yeah. What else you gonna do? He's a manager with no stats. You could add like an interesting match type on the back, or
Yeah,
maybe an Inferno match, or I don't know what was something an occult guy would do.
maybe make
The
the staff have some kind of magic power that can
step
distract somebody or something.
scepter on a pole.
There you go.
It's the origin of Black Death, foreshadowing.
Yeah, right. Little did we know that it was this jerk's fault.
All the occult overlord. I mean, he had a right to be angry though, because even though his team lost in sudden death, I'm sure it wasn't his fault.
No, what did he have to do with anything?
He's like, I showed up to ringside. I tried to distract for you guys. What do you want me to do?
It really has a distractor rating of 5.
I don't remember. Did his old one have a 5? Was it a 5 as
I
well?
don't remember. He did have wrestling stats though.
He did, which all of them. That was the first set that had the managers with wrestling stats, right?
Hmm.
That was pretty cool.
If you think about when those cards originally came out, though, the managers were always involved, and like especially like the NWA and stuff like that. Like
Oh
JJ
yeah.
Dillon would always wrestle with the
When
Horsemen and Cornette
I
with the.
I remember old WWF, all I wanted to see was Jimmy Hart get beat up and Bobby
Hmm.
Heenan get beat up. And, Mr. Fuji was a wrestler that had retired and become a
Yeah,
manager. I mean, Classy Freddie Blassie was a wrestler that became a manager. Like, there was a plethora of villainous managers that all could mix it up.
I think that's something that's missing today.
It is. It absolutely is. I think that in today's wrestling, we don't see enough of that. You see a lot of
Mm-mm.
talkers,
Yeah,
but not a lot of mixing it up. And there's hardly anybody you want to see, oh, I want to see him get it. Like,
yeah.
I
Like
remember
I just
when
don't care.
I remember when Jimmy Hart would run around the ring and Hulk Hogan would finally get a hold of him,
Hmm.
or when British Bulldogs finally convinced Bobby Heenan to go in a match against him and he had the dog suit on. Like,
Yeah.
you just don't see stuff like that anymore.
No, it's a lost art, I think.
It is absolutely. Occult Overlord will bring it back.
He's going to bring it back. Our discussion about this gentleman right here
This
is going
is
to
the
bring back
moment.
managers.
Bookmark this in your
Yes.
screens, on your websites. Occult Overlord just brought it back. You're
I mean,
welcome.
with this drawing alone.
I mean, honestly, how cool would it be to have a Vince McMahon version of this where he's just like, "It was me."
Yeah. It was me all along.
That's what the robe reminds me of, actually.
Yeah, it is very similar to that.
It should have been like who was around at that time? Who was the commissioner back then? It wasn't Grogan yet, was it?
I don't think so. I don't think we had one yet.
No, you definitely had one. You had Carter.
Yeah, Carter. It was probably still Carter. When
Yeah, it
was
would have been
he
cool.
active?
We need a special edition Carter, Commissioner Carter, where he goes, "It was me. It was me, Exo King, the whole time."
He did have a cape.
We're rewriting history.
It could happen.
It could.
Alternate realities. I think Tom even said whenever he was first time we had him on, he's like, everybody's fed is an alternate reality.
It
He's
really
like,
is.
everybody has a different history, so the stories
Yeah,
are just guidelines.
and that's all he ever wanted them to be. I mean, it's an outlet of creativity. So, I mean,
Exactly.
no two feds are supposed to be identical, but now we might have similar champions because of the fact their
Right, the way
strength
the
of the
cards are.
cards.
Right.
But yeah, I think we've covered enough on Occult Overlord.
Let's switch over to the Ram
So
here.
at this point, Ram wasn't doing much for me, and I'll tell you why. Occult Overlord, even though he was genius, and even though in the book he wasn't a cult, he was just Overlord. Um, he put him in a tag team called the 12th House. Do you even remember the 12th House?
I just looked at it.
Yeah,
I just saw because I was looking up his tag team history,
it's
but
with
I have no
Gemini.
recollection of that at all.
And unfortunately, me as a promoter, I probably veer to the WWF side, WWE side. I don't use tag teams as much.
It's very similar in that.
So I feel like 12th House got overlooked. I barely remember. I know they tagged a few times, but it
That would have been
wasn't.
a pretty tough team.
Yeah, but they never really got over for me. So I mean, there was no. I mean, who were they even feuding with at the time? His main feuds were Exo King, Iron Man, and Heracles, and I don't even think any of those guys were in a tag team. There's
No.
always a disconnection there when their main feud is a singles wrestler and they're a tag wrestler for me.
Hmm.
It kind of puts the story on the back burner because unless they're putting like a Survivor Series style match or something like that,
Right. You don't
they
get to really
really
do
don't
much.
mix it up. Yeah, because I'm more of a rankings guy. I'm like you're here to climb the ladder and win titles and gain
Right.
prestige.
Hmm.
So Ram has had a struggle with that going back and forth. But if you want to hear the notes, I can read the notes for you.
Go for it.
All right. His finisher had updated to the Ram charge.
Ooh.
Ram has modified his finisher to make it even more deadly. He ties his opponents in the ropes. Then he does the ram charge and delivers a deadly blow to the opponent's chest with his horns. One problem, the opponent might move and Ram falls hard outside to the ring. When Ram's finisher Ram's charge is rolled, roll one die, and if the roll is even, assume the move works and the opponent gets crunched. Add +3 to the
Crunched.
opponent's pin rating and play normally. If the roll is odd, assume the opponent moves and Ram falls hard outside the ring. Roll out of the ring for Ram.
He's got an A
Assume
ring rating.
assume Ram completes his half of the work when he does the sign of the Zodiac finisher with Gemini.
There you go.
He was successful every time they went for that, at least. So here's
There
the
you go.
background for him. If let's see here, Ram finally got his wish. He's the star of his new team, the Brotherhood. Or so the Overlord has told him. Ooh, how ominous. That Overlord, he's up to no good. It wasn't hard to fit battering Ram into the Brotherhood team image. After all, Ram is the symbol of the astrological sign Aries.
That's what this is on his
That's what
shoulder.
it
I
is,
just I
yeah.
just looked it up.
And Ram is willing to play along with the Zodiac stuff as long as he gets the matches he wants. Rams faces a headline feud against the angry Exo King. Will the Ram versus Exo King feud bring back memories of another big man feud, Exo King versus Massive? But Ram has other enemies as well. Iron Man has not taken well to Ram joining the villain side. Feuds between former allies are always the most intense, with major feuds like Colossus versus Chaos, Heracles versus Janus, Dreadnought versus Doomsayer, Wolf versus Mayhem, U.S. Patriot versus Grunge, and Killing Machine versus everyone. Will the Iron Man versus Ram feud wind up being one of the most underrated of 2098?
Yep.
Ram said he was tired of tag action when he was with the Animal Pack. Now the Overlord has asked Ram to tag with Gemini and the team called the 12th House. It could be a great mix of power and agility, but will Ram start complaining again? And will Bishop Hell put up with it? Ooh, a lot of questions. A lot of
It doesn't
questions.
sound like he can make Ram happy. He just
Like
seems like a little whiny.
I mean, it sounds like he knew what he wanted, but he doesn't know how to get there. So he's got to have
Right.
someone guide him, and they always misguide him from what he wants.
Hmm.
I mean, it sounds like Animal Pack laid him that way, and then now, even though he says, "I want to be a singles wrestler," Colt Overlord's like, "Sure, come over to us," and he's like,
Hmm.
"Just kidding."
We got this other guy with an astrologically assigned name. So
Yeah, Gemini, and the awesome move, Sign of the Zodiac.
yeah, now it makes sense. There's so much symbolism that I did not connect as a kid.
Yeah, I mean, you overlook it.
Yeah. Just a new Ram card.
Yeah, I don't think that I know 12th House didn't do anything for me title wise. Let's
I
see,
don't remember
20.
using them.
I definitely use them. 2098 would have been Gladiators. I actually had Traders of Neptune, 2 title reigns. Code of Honor was in the title mix. That was pretty much the bulk of my tag team. Gladiators, of course, were in there. So Gladiators, Traders of Neptune, Code of Honor, Game Masters were appearing around that time. That was my main tag teams. 12th House was an afterthought, thrown in the mix here and there. The card itself, the Ram card, did end up capturing my interplanetary title.
It's a pretty solid card looking at it.
So in 2099, he must have got his wish because he became a singles wrestler, and I follow the book.
Okay,
So he must have became a singles wrestler the next year.
cool.
He did defeat Mayhem for the title, and he had a 210-day reign
That's pretty good.
as my. That's pretty. Yeah, that's really good for my
That's very
Fed.
good.
He did eventually lose it to Spike, who went on to have, I think, my second longest interplanetary reign of all time of 399 days. So I mean, it was nothing. It's not like he just honky tonk manned it and had a long reign and then
Yeah,
dropped it in 10 seconds. I mean, it was a
yeah.
battle. Ram ended up lose. He eventually won it from Mayhem, which is a gladiator, obviously. And then he lost it to Spike, which is also a gladiator. So even though he's now this villainous person, he's willing to go to things he wouldn't have done before. He
Hmm.
still had that beef with the gladiators.
Yeah, and he should.
So I mean, it was perfect. I mean, I like the card. Like you said, the colorized version makes it look awesome,
Hmm.
and that's just I really
This is
appreciate
probably
that character.
the one of the better art pieces from the Gustovich set.
I like how it's like the Gustovich set.
Yeah, because he only did one, I think.
I
He
mean,
might have
that's
done a classics, but I think that was, and then everybody that he did pretty much got a new card within the next 3 or 4 years.
that Ram card's good. What was the
Hmm.
next Ram card? Was it a special edition? I know there
Uh,
was a Ram special edition at one point there.
yeah, it didn't come out to like 2103, I think. Bendis drew it. Yeah, it was a 2103 SE, so 5 years later. But that's when we were doing two a year. So yeah, I could pull that up. I mean, we're not talking about it right now, not this particular card, but
No, I just wanted to. I wanted to see the direction he was
I
going.
actually
Look,
like the Gustovich one better than this.
oh yeah, I do too. Huh? Yeah, I don't like the straight on. Like he's looking like he's wearing a full body suit there.
It looks like Sabretooth,
Yeah,
but with horns.
the outfit almost looks like he's trying to mock a Matador of M83 again.
Hmm.
Like, hey, you got a full body suit. I got a full body suit.
I assume this is that the symbol on his chest is the Aries symbol again.
Yeah, can't
Moved it,
see it in this one.
right? But yeah, that's his update. I like the Gustovich one better, I have to say.
Yeah, Gustovich did it good there.
Hmm. On this one, at least.
Yeah, we'll give him a pass.
But looking at
I,
his card, pretty tough.
yeah, I mean, he had a solid card. Like I said, he ended up getting a good little interplanetary reign for me. I always like Ram. I always have. I mean, I have a soft spot for the Animen, especially Ram and Incredible Badger.
Yeah, I always like those guys too.
I
Badger's one of my
question,
all-time favorites.
I question if battering Ram doesn't sound more vindictive and aggressive than just Ram. Like,
Hmm.
why drop the battering?
Yeah, I don't know. This is just all business, no gimmicks.
Yeah, he's an occult
Probably
overlord
just to
guy.
probably just to change the name on the card more than anything. But yeah, for power creeping on him, do you have the card in front of you?
I do not.
He's got 3 straight through level 3 moves on level 2.
The question you always
Um,
have to ask is, does he have a move number one on level 3 is a level 2 move? I think
he
he does.
does the double
Yeah.
chop.
So that would probably get rid of that
He's also
power
got
creeping.
3 downs on his level 3
Ooh,
defense, but his pin's only 5 too.
I think that getting rid of that level 2 on level 3 would be my power creep. It usually would be because I like to be on offensive,
Yeah,
especially a guy
because
like that.
nothing kills your momentum more than getting a guy down, getting a
Yeah.
pin attempt, and then following up with double chop too.
Yeah. Let me show you. I'm gonna let you back on your feet.
hmm His pin's only 5 too, so and 2 of the downs are protected. One's protected by a tag, if you're, and one by a leave. You usually don't see those separated anymore. They're usually on the same
Yeah.
roll,
Either
so
or.
that's good. Yeah. So yeah, I think I'll just to be different than you, I'll get rid of a down.
You don't have to be different. You can be right.
It's true.
It's unanimous tonight. One night only.
Yes, it is.
This is how we power creep.
Yep.
Uh,
Because we know what to do.
we don't have that pesky Mike here to tell us otherwise.
But yeah, so that's Ram.
Somehow we talked more about Occult Overlord than we did Ram, but I mean, technically they were together.
Yeah, they were a package deal.
And that was the big debut for Occult Overlord. He's like, I brought Ram to the
hmm
Brotherhood.
Yeah, that's big. That was a big deal.
It was. I mean, to bring an Annieman away from the Annieman.
Because who else was in that group at the time? Was it Mesmer and Bishop Hell?
Yeah.
So that
I
would,
just
I
had to
mean, he'd
brought
be
up.
the best guy out of those guys, I think.
And
And
then
a Mesmer's card then was pretty good.
you had Gemini there too.
Yeah,
Let's see
that's
here.
no, this is after Mesmer got downgraded.
Yeah. Mesmer fell off for me. I didn't really.
Yeah, once he
Early
became
on, he
the
was interesting, but
yeah, his first card was tough.
because he
It,
didn't have any downs, it was like
hmm
he was one of the most boring wrestlers, but he could stick around a long time.
Yeah,
Overlord, Bishop Hell, Ram, Gemini, Mesmer. Yeah, that's the only ones.
Bishop
Mes
Hell's probably the best guy in that bunch.
I guess Exo King wasn't a tag at that time. He was doing Royal Blood
Yeah,
with
with
his
his
son,
son.
Jack of
Yeah.
Diamonds. I couldn't remember because they kind of went in and out of teaming too.
hmm This was that rare time when they were good, I think, before he became King Lear.
Oh, and the King's Court was originally supposed to have a press conference the day after the Occult of Brotherhood. They had to postpone it due to unexpected developments in the Brotherhood press conference.
Ooh, they weren't expecting Ram.
They were not. So then they came back out. It was delayed by, let's see here. It must have been a while because I'm not seeing all the way to March 6th. It was originally February 21st. It took
Wow,
them like what, 2 weeks
9 days.
to it's longer than that. It's February 21st to March 6th. It's almost 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's like two full complete weeks for them to react. The
hmm
real reason was because of the collector. The collector got turned on, and then the collector came out and talked to the King's Court, and they had Defender of the Realm and Killer Queen, Jack of Diamonds, and Exo King. So there you go.
There you go.
I can't believe they were delayed by 2 weeks because of the collector being removed from the occult.
I threw him for a loop.
It says, so Mesmer made a comment. A chance to prove my singles greatness. We're a complete team now with Ram and the Overlord here. Watch us in 98. And the collector said, don't forget me, Mesmer. I'm part of the team too. And the Overlord said, your job is done, collector. You have my permission to leave.
Oh man, how
And
could you do the collector dirty like
and the
that?
collector said, leave? I put this team together. We were supposed to co-manage the Brotherhood. This doesn't sit well with me at all. And the Overlord said, perhaps this will sit with you better. Oh, and the Overlord motioned towards Bishop Hell, who came up behind the collector and tapped him on the shoulder. The collector turned around and was greeted with a vicious hellfire.
They tried
The,
to kill him too?
the collector, writhing in pain, fell to the ground. The Overlord smiled and motioned to the Brotherhood to depart. But that was a big swerve in the press conference. You got to read those press conferences
They're
because they get
fun.
heated.
They're
They get
fun.
heated. So the
Poor
collector
collector.
thought he was a part of this group, the Brotherhood. He's like, I
They
brought them
screwed him.
together. And then it's like, your work here is done.
They
See ya.
screwed him.
That Occult Overlord, he's tricky.
And we never saw the collector again.
Oh, he was with the royal family then
Was he?
for at least that year.
Okay. Then we never
He,
saw him again after that.
he
No,
did disappear eventually. I don't remember. I
he
know
hung around for a while.
he hung around for a couple years. Man, 2 weeks took
And then we
the
never saw him again.
that was you getting lost in the shuffle. That wasn't the official
I
storyline.
lost his card.
There were two big surprises when the King's Court entered the media center. First, there was no King Lear. Second, the collector came out with the team. And then, of course, King Lear became Exo-King again. So there you go. And of course, Exo-King said, I slacked off as a King Lear. Now I'm back as Exo-King. It's hard. It's hard. It's got to be hard for Tom, too, because you're writing a story, but you've got to have so many voices.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're thinking Exo-King sounds a lot like Ram, for instance. Well, of course it does. It's the same writer. Like,
Right. Yeah.
it's got to be hard to portray all those characters.
Especially as this is when it really started to blow up, the size of the Fed.
Yeah, there was a lot going on. There's a lot of people get lost in the shuffle.
It's true. This set was mostly updates, though, it seemed. So that might be by design, just to try and keep the number down a little bit. See, let's look at the set here. Colossus was new. Heracles was new. Grunge was an update, right?
That was kind of a. I mean, I think the artwork, especially when it's colorized, is awful for the cover of this. But the idea was pretty cool of having Colossus and Heracles up against the ropes in the ring, just kind of discussing things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the set was Colossus, the Tomorrow Man, Heracles of Crete, Killing Machine. Ooh, the big shock of who is Killing Machine.
Mm-hmm. So
Grunge,
that was an update.
Star Warrior. So Star Warrior was a downgrade.
Yeah.
Doomsayer had a new card where he actually took over somebody's body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so not about half and half new characters and upgrades.
Exo-King, the Overlord Ram, Marcel de Sade.
That was the Executioner.
And was that the beginning of the Johnny Rocket press conference card? I
It
believe it
was. It
was.
was.
The infamous Johnny Rocket card. Can you get a Johnny Rocket card? It's limited edition.
I think I have a couple.
I do too. I got very fortunate. I think I've told this story before, but back in the day on the GWF website when they had those auctions,
Mm-hmm.
you remember those? They would have them once a month or something. I won a complete set of every special edition card up to that point.
That's cool.
For relatively cheap, because I wasn't made of money back then. I mean, we're talking about a high school kid that probably worked 4 nights a week part-time.
Mm-hmm.
I think I won everything for $55 or something.
That's pretty good.
And it was one of every special edition card at the time. Johnny Rocket, of course, was in there. The Draconian Sheik one was in there.
Yeah, that one debuted this year too.
Yeah, there was a lot of cool ones. So
I need to find those cards because I have them in a special box.
Well, they're special edition.
Right, the ones that I need to make sure that they don't get lost.
No losing those in the shuffle.
Uh-huh.
Well, do you want to cut into our topic, or do you want to?
Yeah, let's go. Let's talk about that. You came up with it. You can introduce it if you'd like.
So I thought an interesting topic, both for the card playing aspect and the from the promoter aspect, and from real life wrestling, is finishers. Are they really a thing anymore? Do finishers really finish a match?
I'd say in the past 5 to 6 years in real life wrestling, no. You have to hit it multiple times and in a unique way to actually win a match with it anymore.
Yeah, so it actually came up, and I'll tell you why. I was watching a video of the Chris Statlander and Britt Baker.
Okay.
And at one point in the match, Britt Baker hit like 3 consecutive, and they're not her finishers necessarily, but there were 3 finishers in a row. There was the one-winged angel, there was the curb stomp, there was another one, I don't even remember. It was 3 of them, like in succession, like boom, boom, boom.
And then she kicks out.
And Chris Statlander kicked out. So, I mean, there are a few things you can talk about.
That's AEW in a nutshell, though. Then they'll win with a roll-up.
Yeah, that's what I think my problem is, okay, you can justify this. You can say that those are all moves, but they're not her finisher, and so she doesn't hit them as well as somebody that uses them as a finisher. Like it's not her specialty. I get that. You can explain it off, but why? There should be certain moves that are sacred.
Mm-hmm.
And if like I know One Wing Angel is a relatively known,
Yeah, I think
you
only one
know,
person's ever kicked out of that.
yeah. So no, don't go there. The curb stomp. I know it's a different federation, but
Mm-hmm.
Seth Rollins is arguably the best wrestler in the world. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's between him and a few others.
Right.
That's kind of disrespectful to me. Like, don't use it.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe someday if he retires or something, you get permission, something like that. But right now, he's
Right.
literally your competition's champion.
Mm-hmm. It's a bad look.
Don't do it. Like, it's almost like now if I'm watching the match, what do you not want me thinking of when I'm watching your match?
WWE.
So why are you doing the curb stomp? And not only that, I'm pretty sure the announcer called it a curb stomp.
Mm-hmm.
So like, what am I thinking about at that point? Seth freaking Rollins. You don't want
Yep.
me watching Chris Statlander versus Britt Baker and thinking of Seth Rollins. It's just,
Exactly.
why would you do that?
Mm-hmm.
So,
They don't protect finishers at all anymore. Look at Brock Lesnar. How many F5s
oh,
does he have to use to beat somebody?
no,
At
every
least
time it's
six.
got to be more each time. Like, well,
Mm-hmm.
somebody's kicked out of 5, so now he's got to hit it 6.
Mm-hmm.
And 20 German suplexes.
Yeah. It's a little out of control.
It is. But I mean, going back to the game, let's go back to the game. So, as promoters, I feel like it's our job to make the matches interesting, even though, I mean, we play them out.
Right.
I see people on the board that say, it took him 3 Cosmic Big Bangs or, something
Mm-hmm.
like that. I don't view it that way. I view anything that happens from the time the match starts to the time match ends as my creativity time.
Okay.
Finishers, I view as finishers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't view it as they hit it 4 times. I mean, I know that's how we generate coins and fatigue and
Right.
whatnot, but I don't view it that way. When I'm trying to envision the match in my head when I
Mm-hmm.
play a match, and I never think, oh, he hit his finisher. Oh,
Yeah.
he kicked out of the finisher. That's not how I view it. I view it as he did some kind of move that earned a coin. We're limited by 18 options,
Right.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
so there's other things this guy could do to set up. There's a lot of setup holds missing and stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm. That makes
I,
sense. That's a good way to look at it.
I'd be interested to hear other promoters and their insights on that. Like, what do you think of finishers? Do you view them when you're playing them as that way? Or maybe you don't even think about it. You just think, I'm playing a match. Here's the results.
For me, they very rarely finish the match the first time they're hit. It's usually multiple times.
I mean, could you imagine? Let's just try to envision for a second a chaos match.
Okay.
How many bow of defeats does it take to get the tap out? Are you really that scared of bow of defeat at that point? Like, yeah,
Yeah,
he
that's a
can
good
lock
point.
it over and over and over, but it takes like 8 of them. It's like,
Yeah, I see
I,
that.
I don't view the match that way. I view Chaos as a very intimidating, powerful figure that eventually locks in the bow of defeat.
Mm-hmm.
Even though that's how he's garnering fatigue, that's not how he really does it in my mind.
How I always viewed something like Chaos with the three finishers of the same thing. I see it as a guy like struggling to get into it, to get out of it while he's putting it on him. And then like whenever he finally locks it on and finishes him, that's when he locked it in.
See, but my problem with that is then I'm viewing him as like a Chris Masters. Like, you've now made the bow of defeat a master lock
There you go.
challenge.
What
Like,
is the
it's,
bow of defeat?
oh gosh.
I'm looking that up.
Anyways,
I don't even know what it
you look it
is.
up. I was gonna look it up, but you'll be quicker.
Probably
No,
not.
but I just don't feel like that's. I mean, that's a perfect example of how I think when we play these matches, to me, I'm envisioning a match. I'm not seeing him hit multiple bow defeats. I'm seeing him wear the opponent down to
It,
where the bow defeat can be locked in.
it's a bear hug from behind.
Yeah, so it's basically the Heimlich.
Yeah, it is.
If you're choking on food, who are you gonna call? Chaos.
Chaos. He's gonna help you out. But yeah, I mean, if he's 7'1", 375 pounds, he shouldn't have to put that on more than once.
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine Andre the Giant getting somebody like that, and then this is
Yeah.
his finisher, and then they're like, "Nah, I'm not tapping."
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
5, 6 times.
Yeah. I think you're right though. That's probably when you have a move that's repeated three times like that, it's just the setup to it.
Yeah, it's just a setup. It's not the actual bout of defeat in my mind. It's
That
he's
makes
breaking
sense.
him down. He's giving him forearms to the back. He's,
Hmm.
doing stuff to weaken the position to what he's going to do when he locks in the bout of defeat.
Yeah, that
I
makes
just
sense.
because you're not going to have repetitive blows to the back on an 18 hold card
No,
when
because
when
where would you put it?
three of them are bout defeats. One's an out of the ring. One's a death jump. One's an into the
Hmm.
turnbuckle. One's an into the ropes. And then,
Yeah,
oh, but he's got to have wear down holds. Well,
yeah,
that's where this comes into play for me. Is I envision a wear down hold of some type.
yeah. That makes total sense to me. I like that theory.
And we all have theories. I think that's you want to grow the podcast. You want more people involved. Maybe we should ask some theories people have out there.
Yeah.
I know you've had Matt Butcher on before, and he's got some good ideas on some stuff.
Hmm.
And there's other players out there that I've talked to that, I don't roll this or I roll that. Sometimes I'm shocked at what people don't roll.
Yeah, I try
Like,
and play by the rules as much as I can. The only thing I do is, and this is a Kevin Butcher idea, is the first disqualification you give a second shot. Like it's like, all right, I warned you, don't do that. If you do that
yeah,
again this time, like you're
I,
done. But
I definitely play with some house rules. Double DQ is one of them.
hmm
Champions Advantage, I'm a big fan of that because I like longer title reigns, and it still
yeah,
doesn't give me long title reigns sometimes. I mean, I have some guys a lot of time that one defense and they're done. Like,
hmm
I, I think people view the Champions Advantage incorrectly, in my opinion. I think they think it's going to be automatic. Like the guy's going to hold it forever. It doesn't happen. If the
no,
guy's meant to lose the title, he loses the title.
it's
Like,
true.
yeah.
I do
So
2 out of 3
anyway,
falls matches for my world title matches just to make it so they have to actually win.
yeah, I always do the Champions Advantage. It's three consecutive rolls
Hmm.
so it's like one, two,
And then
three.
the
Like,
slow three.
yeah, the slow three. Uh, but I mean, there's lots of those out there, and I think that there's no right or wrong. But I think
Yeah, it's
that
up to you, promoter. It's your
uh,
Fed.
exactly. I think one of my strengths of my enjoyment of this game is taking the rules and interpreting them in a way that I enjoy.
Hmm.
It adds element. I can't imagine. So I know a lot of the handbooks they have certain rules for certain matches and stuff. And just recently we got a new GWF ringside.
Hmm.
Oh,
I have that here, I think. Maybe not.
yeah, the ringside companion.
Hmm.
And I love that, but some of those even don't fit exactly what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And some of them make it a little too tedious at times.
Hmm.
Some of them can be quite confusing too. Like, does this guy roll on the climb the ladder? Or does this guy like,
Yeah, I wish there was like verbiage that was it was always like the wrestler on offense or the wrestler on defense instead of the
yes,
wrestler and the opponent because it's like, well, who ruled on this? Who's the
yeah,
wrestler? Who's the opponent?
yeah. And I think that makes it different. But I found ways that I can randomize things. I can make this happen. One of the things I do that is unique. I don't do the two dice to see who starts the match.
Mm.
I do one dice, and this guy has 1 through 3, and this guy has 4 through 6.
There you go. That does make it quicker.
And
You won't re-roll that ever.
I do it as well with tag teams. Who's going to start the match?
Okay.
This guy's 1 through 3. This guy's 4 through 6. Like,
I always pick the guy that has the best shot at beating somebody fast.
see, and that's strategic, and I get that.
Right, but that's only because I almost play exclusively on stream right now.
But I am
So,
probably one of the people you'll meet that is most in love with randomization.
hmm.
I randomize all my cards. All my minor weekly cards are randomized. Who's going to face who? I
Yeah.
mean, I keep them within restrictions. Like, good guys only fight bad guys, or
Hmm.
in the situation where I'm at now, where you have CPC, GWF, and you have the COE, the Citadel, the Elite.
Yeah.
They don't face each other within their groups, but they're welcome to face anybody else. Like,
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
so I mean, I like that. I feel like it's my job as the creative promoter to come up with ideas off of that.
Yeah. Make it make sense.
Yeah, make it make sense. Why are these guys fighting? Why do they have an issue?
Hmm.
And ultimately, I think that another thing we're missing in today's wrestling that I feel I get enjoyment out of my fed is everybody's ultimate goal is to become the champion. They'll
Hmm.
have their own reason for being there, be it universal domination or
Right.
just
Right.
bragging rights or
Uh-huh.
whatever it may be. But they all have that goal in mind. It's about
Exactly.
getting that title.
That's why WWE made no sense to me. Monday Night Raw made no sense to me the past 2 years during this Roman Reigns reign. Like, there's no world champion on Raw. Like, oh, we're all fighting for the secondary title.
Yeah, and then like they had the Money in the Bank where someone cashed in for a secondary title, and it's like,
Hmm.
why would you ever do that? If that's my one shot, I mean,
Yeah.
Eminem would be appalled. You've got one shot,
Yeah,
one
exactly.
opportunity, and you
Especially because he was
like,
already
nah.
United States champion.
Yeah, it's like, what? No, so there's sometimes they lose logic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the biggest problem I have with the weekly shows is that they have the same wrestlers face each other week in and week out,
They do.
and you'll see the same two guys face each other like 9, 10, 12 times
Yeah,
in a
and
row,
then
and
they
it's
split
like,
it 50-50.
why?
Yeah.
So for me, that's another reason that I like the randomness. I never knew who's going to meet each other that next month.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you can make a story around it.
Now, for me, I do rankings, so I do rankings.
Do do.
So I poop the rankings. So I do already know what's going to be my card for the next super show or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's advantageous for me to write stories around. There's always someone that can interfere that they're going to be battling on the next
Right.
pay-per-view. So it makes it easier to write. But
I
even then,
always,
something can change by the next time because
well,
of it.
what's been horrible for me on my streaming fed is I have a plan for just about every major player, but the dice are just completely working against me that I can't get to the end game of what I'm trying to get to and tell the story. It's so frustrating. Like it just seems like a mess right now.
It
So it's
and that's why
frustrating.
I only plan it 1 month at a time. It's just the one super card that I'm working towards
Mm-hmm.
every time. Now I do use the last 3 months of worth of rankings to kind of compile to base. So sometimes somebody will seem like they're sliding, but suddenly they get a title shot. It's like, well, now somehow they're the top contender because they had the most points. But I mean, we see that in regular wrestling. Sometimes there's
It's
no
true.
rhyme or reason to why this guy, oh, he's just been a veteran forever, so we're going to give him a title shot.
Mm-hmm.
And now he talks tough.
Yeah. It's like Rey Mysterio with the US title right now. Does he need
And
that?
I mean, how many times does that happen with like Big Show or Mark Henry
Yeah.
or someone that didn't usually capture your title but could
Mm-hmm.
be in the title scene at literally any given time? Kane,
Yeah.
Undertaker, those are guys that
Mm-hmm.
okay, Undertaker lost 3 pay-per-views in a row, but now he's going to challenge for the
He's the
title. He's
champ.
the dead man again. It's like
Yeah.
you see it.
Mm-hmm.
That's an
I guess
interesting. That'd be an interesting topic too. Do you ever have legacy guys that you're like, this guy can get a title shot pretty much anytime?
just have to come back and ask.
Yeah. So
Fun stuff.
yeah. So finishers, protect them.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're going.
I like how you described how you think of them in a Champions of the Galaxy match. That's cool.
I just think that it doesn't make sense to me for these to be considered finishers. And the title finisher itself
Yeah.
says it's going to end the match. If it's not
Right.
ending the match, it's not a finisher.
Mm-hmm.
You can use the rock bottom, wasn't really a finisher.
Mm-hmm.
On SmackDown, it might have been, but when he went to pay-per-views, he could never finish anyone with the
No,
rock
he
bottom.
never beat it. He always beat him with the
He
people's
had to hit
elbow.
the people's elbow. If you don't do it, so technically the finisher is the people's elbow.
Right, which wouldn't
The
beat
rock bottom
anybody.
was a +1 move that put him down. Like
Yep. It was the
so,
setup.
yeah, I think
Yeah,
finishers need protected,
they do,
and
especially today's wrestling. It's kind of getting out of hand.
yeah, it
You
really
just
has.
what do you have to do to somebody now to knock them down?
Uh,
Keep them
you
down,
can
shoot them in the head.
you can lift the ring with a forklift. You
Yeah.
can.
That
There's
was a
all
good
kinds of
optic
things.
though.
Yeah,
It's bouncing around.
it really has gotten ridiculous. I think we should go back to our roots in GWF and protect the finisher. That's my.
Hmm.
If you take nothing else away from this podcast, not you've been listening for like an hour, protect your finishers. Don't say they were hit 8 times in a match.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, it is exciting though when someone kicks out of it.
It is, and I'm not saying there's not a place for that.
Hmm.
There is absolutely. If you've got a ginormous feud and these guys know each other so well, they've over the years they've met umpteen
Hmm.
times, and you're like, he hit the whatever cosmic Big Bang and he kicked out for the first time ever. But wouldn't that be a build though? I mean,
Yeah, it's
that's
true.
an ultimate build. It's not like, well, he kicks out of this every match.
Hmm.
That's not exciting,
Right.
you
Right.
know. I mean, I get it as a player rolling the dice when I get a guy that's like 10 tokens in and you're
Yeah, you
like,
have to roll an 11 to kick
and then
out and
he
you hit
kicks
it.
out like, oh,
Yeah.
that okay, report it and say, oh man, he kicked out of the finisher. Like,
Hmm. That last desperation that he
yeah,
had.
they're two separate topics really. Like if I'm talking to you about what happened in my Fed, I might be legitimate. Oh well, he kicked out of 7 bout defeats.
Hmm.
But in my Fed, that's not how I promote it. That's not how I think the crowd would
Yeah.
see it.
Right, right. It makes
So,
sense.
get your logic. Logic.
The bow of defeat.
The bow defeat.
Oh, excuse me.
Huh, you're right. Oh no, we got Broc on mute.
As I cough myself into oblivion.
Well, we've missed Mike, kind of,
Yeah,
I
we
think.
missed them.
I like to talk more. It's all right.
It's yeah. Well, as we're signing off here, the Steelers are winning 16-11.
Let's not talk about that. It's not even halftime yet.
It's the 2-minute warning to
There's
the
still a
half.
chance. They're playing at Heinz Field, so I mean it's in Pittsburgh. It's a little bit tougher.
Yeah,
The Browns definitely win for best looking uniforms tonight with the all white.
I love those. But as soon
That's
as I
pretty
turned it
cool.
on, I'm like, those look great.
Yeah, I said that too until they threw a pick six on the first play of the game. And I was like, get rid of those uniforms. They're
Well,
jinxed.
they said those were the uniforms they wore when they won 7 championships in 10 years. So maybe they should
Back in
try that.
back in the 1950s and 60s.
Yeah.
We're not talking about that.
It's all right. I give Sam enough crap about it on Facebook, so I'll leave you be.
Sam Luptek with the Cleveland Brown bootleg.
Yep, I think I have one of those
He
nearby.
actually has. You stop searching. You're lost in the shuffle.
No, he's right here.
Oh,
You
okay. So special shout out to Sam tonight.
Yep, here's his Cleveland Brown bootleg. He probably
King
still
of
has some.
Pittsburgh. Of course, he's got Pittsburgh without the H on the end because he's keeping it real.
He probably did that on purpose, even though.
Oh, I know that there actually is Pittsburgh was spelled without an H at one point.
There we go. Now you can kind of see him without the glare.
Is that supposed to be Jim Brown kind of?
I think so. Yeah, I'm sure Sam probably has some available, and I have some too. Yeah, I think they're actually on BrocsterBuilds.com, actually.
Yes. Shameless plug. Shameless. I think your shameless plugs could be the equivalent of an AEW show.
Yeah, it could.
High spots all the time. Just give me a list of them next show, and I'll
I'll
randomly insert them.
Every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. You can watch this
tune in
like that. You can see how many finishers this guy's going to kick out of.
Next Dimension Wrestling.
Live. You can tell Brock is playing the game wrong.
What's the little game you play on the side all the time? The
Stream Raiders.
Stream Raiders. Yeah, join some Stream Raiders.
Yeah.
Shout out to Stream Raiders.
We have a new skin coming out for Agent Orange, which is a bootleg character of the NDW ilk.
Wow.
Concept by Kevin Butcher.
Heard it here first.
Mm-hmm.
Come back for first news content.
So there you go. I guess that's probably the best way we can end it. With my blatant self-promotion.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you. All right, everybody, click that subscribe button below if you haven't done so yet. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. We want this to be the most thumbed up video ever because there's no Mike, so we can prove that he's the problem.
I think if we get enough subscribers, we should get a Mike Fortune Hitman for Hire poster and then rip it up every episode, a la Greg Valentine.
That's a good idea. I could probably make that happen.
It'll have today's date on it. Like he was set to appear and he didn't show up.
He's gonna try and sign off from his phone.
Auctioned off at the next G-Con.
Here we go. All right, while you're here, scroll on down to the description below where you'll find some links to our friends who have made Filsinger Games related content, including the official Filsinger Games podcast Roll Up, the Legends team's Uncharted Territory, Dizzy Dice from Lee Longpre, the Filsinger Games fan cast from Grant. Here on YouTube, you'll find Dave Little's Heartland Championship Wrestling. After further review, and Brad Plays 81, he's been playing a lot. Check him out.
Brad, huh?
Yeah, Brad. I don't
think I've checked that out yet.
He's got a lot going on. Definitely worth checking out. He has a bootleg fed going. I forget where he's at timeline wise. He's got a bootleg fed, a champions fed, and I think a legends fed that he's been playing online.
Nice.
So check that out.
Check it.
On Twitch, you'll find me every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time playing my bootleg fed Next Dimension Wrestling. If you want to check out the Next Dimension Wrestling cards, you can find those at BrocsterBuilds.com. There's a link below to that too. So I think that's everything. If not, it's all down there. Just keep scrolling so you can't scroll no more. All right. Well, this was a good time. Thanks, Jeff. We'll reconvene next week.
Sounds good.
All right. Have a good one, everybody. We'll catch you next time.